Tonight on Taskforce Geek, we're going to be talking about Lucasfilm's Willow returning to Disney+. We'll be debuting some original art from the Taskforce Geek regulars that will appear in SRG Universe's Supershow game. And we'll get you up to date on DC Future State and Green Lantern Show coming to HBO Max. Our guest tonight will be SRG Steve Resk and Ranking Studios member Robert Henry, and that's all coming up now. Welcome to Taskforce Geek. My name is Dirk Hooper, and today I am joined by Scott.
Howdy!
And Sean.
Yo.
And our guests are Steve Resk.
How's it going?
And Robert Henry.
Hello.
This is kind of a return to some of our previous episodes. On episode 1, we had Robert Henry for about 20 minutes.
Exactly.
And we also had Steve Resk on episode 6. It's episode 28. So welcome back, guys.
My pleasure to be back.
Thank you.
And what a great reason for you guys to come back. I mean, we got some really exciting stuff to talk about. All the stories or questions that we're talking about tonight were on the Taskforce Geek Quora space or the Taskforce Geek Facebook group. I'm going to see if I can find those. Here it is. There's the Quora space right there. And there is the Facebook group. So if you want to see what we're going to be talking about next week, then go visit that, please. We are broadcasting live from my Facebook account, which is right there, and on Twitch, which is right there, and our YouTube account, which is right there. If you are watching us, please share this on your platform. Scott, last night, recorded a thing for Prime Reviews. You want to talk about that, Scott? It will go up tomorrow.
I was going to talk about it at the end of the show when I talk about what I've read, watched, or played. So I don't.
Okay. Well, I have a little routine when you do.
Okay, I got you.
I have something else that I'm setting you up.
You're setting me up for failure. I got you.
Not for failure. Hopefully not for failure. Hopefully for rainbows and happiness.
All right, that's great.
All right. Holy cats! We've already have comments.
Well, that's what happens when you go live and you have somebody like the BOSS on the show.
Jerry says she loves the nicknames. It's wrestling night, so that's because we got Steve Resk from Supershow Games, and Walt says, "How's it going?"
How's it going, man?
Howdy, guys.
Walt is the guy.
Walt's shirt. It's got the Lucha Underground shirt on.
Man, you pegged that so quick.
Dude, this is his living. Of course he is.
Wow.
He's good.
You were all over that.
He's not Vince McMahon. What is that stuff? What are those guys jumping around?
Good stuff.
Brown people. Ugh. That's my Vince impression.
Wow. That's good.
Nice.
Nailed it.
He didn't have an African-American world champion until 2019. Rock doesn't count. He's half Samoan. Boom.
Wow.
Anyways, my argument's done.
All right. Here comes our first segment. All right. The Enchanting World of Willow, created by George Lucas, is officially coming to the small screen. Disney Plus has confirmed a sequel series taking place years after the events of the original Ron Howard directed pick is heading into production next year. Howard is returning to the project as executive producer alongside original star Warwick Davis, who will once again play the titular hero Willow Ufgood. The series has also tapped Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights director John M. Chu to helm the pilot and executive produce. Jonathan Kasdan, they list it Solo as his. Jonathan Kasdan has other films besides Solo. And Wendy Miracle from Arrow will serve as showrunners. Willow, the series, hails from Lucasfilm and represents the company's first non-Star Wars venture since 2015. The show will introduce all new characters to the magical realm of fairy queens and two-headed Ebersisk monsters. So So, Steve, you didn't know about Willow. Do you have anything you want to say on this, or do you want me to skip you here, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to jump in. I did a little research when I
All right,
the itinerary for the episode.
Let's have it. You're up first.
What I like about this move, again, I don't know, I'm not familiar with Willow at all, but I do love all these sort of fantasy realms that people create, whether it's Narnia, Percy Jackson, Star Wars. I love any sort of sci-fi, especially fantasy themed. I like this decision a lot for it to be a series rather than a movie. I think that this is something that's really popular right now, especially when it's sort of like spin-off-esque things, being that this is by Star Wars, now they're going to Disney Plus with the series. I think it would be exciting, and I wonder why a lot more shows or IPs don't do this more often. Like that's something like Harry Potter. The movies were good, they were enjoyable, but when you have something that's based off a story arc or a book, and you could piece it into episodes and tell that episodes, weekly over a few months or a few weeks, I feel like you paint a much bigger picture and a much better world. So I definitely will check this out, especially considering I have Disney Plus and something that you kind of dive into week to week. So I look forward to it.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. Rob, I'm going to you next.
Okay. For me, the biggest thing that I like about it is that it's an extenuation and that they're continuation of what they created. Because to be perfectly honest, and somebody probably is going to send me some psychic evil waves now, but I was kind of disappointed with Will, even as a kid. I mean, I loved the universe, but I felt like they just kind of scratched the surface, and I didn't really it didn't really fill me with awe per se. And so I like that they're going to try and get a chance to redo it. And I think part of it is, Ron Howard, I don't think he's necessarily a great film director. And, he does a really competent job, makes a really good movie. But it seems like his stuff always kind of falls flat. So I'm excited that maybe he's still kind of with it, but he's not going to be the guy calling the shots when it comes to directing. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what else they can develop out of this and what they can create. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So.
Cool. All right, Scott.
I think Robert and Steve said pretty much everything I was going to say. I mean,
I agree, me too.
I was not impressed. Like when we were kids, Willow came out and it was like, oh, George Lucas is tied to this, and we thought and we heard this is the next Star Wars. That's what I remember hearing all the time. It's the next Star Wars. There's going to be action figures. There's going to be 3 movies. This thing's going to live on forever, and I like Robert said, I like the universe, and I wanted to like the film so much, and it was okay. It just didn't live up to the hype. Now, when we were little, they said this is the next Star Wars, so we had high expectations.
Right.
So maybe we just had too high expectations. I'm like Robert. Ron Howard's a nice guy, and he does directs films better than I can, but I've never been impressed with oh my God, did you see that Ron Howard film? It's amazing. The guy, he was Richie on Happy Days. He's amazing. I mean, he's fine, but I've just never been impressed by anything super impressed that he's done. But I look forward to this. I really, really hope that it's kind of in the vein of, if you want me to watch it, I want small episodes. I want 30, 40 minutes, kind of like The Mandalorian. I know other people are going to want hour-long things.
John just laughed at you. He guffawed.
Well, that's fine. I don't like watching TV, so there you go. I'm trying to help Disney get me to watch it. Short episodes.
I got you, man. Speaking of Sean, let's hear what he has to say.
He must have loved Ron Howard.
Hey, Marianne. Hello to a shell. Gary says, dude, when I was a kid, I wanted to change my name to Mad Mardigan.
We all did. Why wouldn't we?
And yeah, I was definitely more interested in him than Willow. Hi, and your mom says hi. Okay, let's hear it, Sean.
How do I go about this?
Okay, dude, this is the show. We're live.
Where I agree with everything that's been said so far. I disagree with the idea that Ron Howard can't make a great film. If you look at his entire catalog of films,
you may want to retract that statement. That being said,
chances are I've seen like 3 out of like
well,
his 400
name
movies.
a couple of those. If didn't he do The Right Stuff?
No.
Apollo 13.
Apollo 13.
Okay,
Didn't
Apollo
see it.
13.
He did the Cocoon.
I mean,
he did Cocoon.
Yep,
Didn't
not
see
bad.
it.
Jesus.
Obviously,
All right.
he took
All
up
right,
the
go ahead and make
reins
your
for
point. Someone look up Ron Howard films, please.
I will. I'll do it.
And
Inferno.
anyway,
A Beautiful Mind, the Da Vinci Code.
Backdraft, the Da Vinci Code. So
All right.
So, anyway,
Go ahead and make your point.
much like everybody has stated so far, I was not.
Hey, Ken.
I was not blown away by Willow whenever it first came out. I, like everybody else has said, really dug the world. I really dug the setting. It just wasn't. It wasn't the end all be all. I put a lot of that on the shoulders of Wicket.
Well, also
Warwick
Wicket.
Davis.
Yeah, Warwick Davis, also Wicket.
Also Leprechaun. Nothing against the guy. He doesn't impress me as an actor. He doesn't. There are certain actors that hold the screen. You can't look away from him. You can't steer away because they soak it all up and they deliver a wonderful performance. Warwick Davis is not that actor. So by placing him as the hero, even though you had the talents of Val Kilmer and the directing chops of
Ron Howard.
Thank you. I was trying to think of somebody else. Anyway, with everything that was involved in this, I wish it would have been so much more. With the TV series, I'm looking forward to them expanding that universe. I'm not really looking forward to Warwick Davis being a primary in this show.
Surely he's going to be like the old guy telling stories, right?
Some of the rumors have him continuing on as Willow in the adventures. So if that be the case, we'll see. We'll see how they pull that together. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to it. I'll give it a chance. Anything fantasy, I'll watch and try to absorb as much as I can. But am I pumped? Am I gripping the edge of my seat? Not really. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it turns out.
Do you want me to read off the Ron Howard movies? I have a list right here.
Yeah, give it to me.
Starting in 1977, and we're going to go to 2020. Grand Theft Auto, Night Shift. That was a good movie. Splash.
Oh,
Cocoon,
Night Shift was really good.
Splash, Cocoon, Gung Ho, Willow, Parenthood, Backdraft, Far and Away, The Paper, Apollo 13, Ransom, Ed 13, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, A Beautiful Mind, The Missing, Cinderella Man, The Da Vinci Code, Frost and Nixon, Frost/Nixon, Angels and Demons, The Dilemma, Rush, In the Heart of the Sea, Inferno. He took over on Solo, finished Solo for the other directors, and then
Right.
Hillbilly Elegy, I guess, is his 2020 movie. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've seen maybe 3 of these movies on here. Now, Warren Davis, I've seen a lot more of his stuff. I've seen Return of the Ewoks, Return of the Jedi, Caravan and Courage, an Ewok Adventure, the Ewoks Battle for Endor, Labyrinth,
Good
Willow, Leprechaun 4 in Space. I mean, like, I'd say that maybe we're just going to disagree, Sean. I think Warwick Davis' filmography speaks volumes.
Sean, do you wish to retort?
You're dead to me.
Gary says that Ron Howard movies are adequate.
Yeah, they're fine. They're not bad movies. I don't think anything's bad.
I think it's funny that the 4 of us who have seen the original Willow movie, were all underwhelmed, because I count myself among that. I remember going to it and thinking, can't Lucas just make another damn Star Wars film, please? Could we just have that instead of trying to make a new, whatever? It's not working. It could have been, it was competent. It was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it was a it was a low C level film. With that said, if you take that world and put some modern CGI in it and put some new producers into it and really jazz it up and make it a series, it could be 10 times better than the original movie, to be honest. Just depending on kind of what they do with it. So I think that's really cool. The guy who's directing it, you may see that he did Crazy Rich Asians and go, what were they thinking here, getting John Chu, the guy who did Crazy Rich Asians, to do a fantasy film? But I looked at his IMDb, and one of his films is G.I. Joe Retaliation. So that is a guy who can do some action. So maybe he's not too far off the mark there. That is one thing that I thought was fairly interesting.
I think I would have rather seen an expansion of Dragon Slayer than I would have Willow.
Oh, I mean, also a Disney property. So, yeah, that would be pretty cool, actually.
I was much more intrigued with that world than I was with Willow.
I agree with that. Marianne says Ewoks man. Ewoks man. And Walt says he was underwhelmed as well.
It's because we were told it was the next Star Wars, and it wasn't.
That's 5. It was definitely not the next Star Wars.
It was the first Willow. And really, as a boy, and this is going to sound maybe bad for the times. As a boy, we wanted this big, tough fantasy movie, right? Like, we were excited about that, but it was called Willow. Now, maybe little girls like that, but we were. Willow. I'm a fan of Willow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it doesn't ring off like Star Wars as a 12-year-old boy.
You know what that is? That's a deballed George Lucas who was trying to make movies for little children, which is exactly why you had, the prequel movies, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
That was your first indicator that the next 3 Star Wars movies were not going to be all that great.
Derek, earlier you said, can't Lucasfilms just put out another Star Wars movie? I bet you're not saying that as much now these days, huh?
Right. Well, good point. Maybe they have been beaten over the head enough with, the reaction to the latest round of Star Wars movies, and maybe they'll learn their lesson. Maybe they'll dump Kathleen Kennedy and they'll stop trying to make Star Wars movies for people who don't like Star Wars movies, and maybe they'll start making Star Wars movies for people who do like it. That's an idea.
That's crazy.
And maybe instead of trying to rehash the stuff that was done before, maybe they'll go to another time and place and start over again, and we'll get something fresh.
Maybe they'll go back to the novels. Maybe they'll go back to the actual material. Who knows?
Probably not going to.
I'd rather just follow around Ghost Han and see what he's up to.
Oh, geez.
Ghost Han? We're just going to follow Ghost Han?
Yeah, why not?
Where he haunts people? He haunts Chewbacca?
He's Haunt Solo. Boom, boom.
Haunt Solo.
Nice.
Set you up. You fed into it.
Mike says, Scott, it would have been titled Short Little Badass with a Drunk Swords Master Save a Little Kid.
Yeah, that'd been cool. I mean, we would have loved that as a kid.
It's not very pithy, though. All right. Are we out of this topic? Let's get on to the next one. What do you say?
Sounds great.
Here it comes. Hey, we got something kind of unique tonight because we have kind of an announcement here, and we have 2 guests, and it's all because of this announcement. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little bio on Steve Resk. Steve is the CEO of SRG Universe, which created the Supershow, a dice-based card game that brings you inside the ring where underground competitors compete for wrestling immortality. And we're going to talk a little bit about that game here in a minute. And our other guest is Robert Henry, who's a longtime buddy of ours. The 4 of us have known Robert and each other for about 30 years. Robert is a writer and artist. He enjoys working in a variety of media, from drawing to photography. He is the creator of Bad Candy and is currently putting together a Kickstarter for Bad Candy #3 and the anthology book Tasty Treats Tales of Bad Candy. The latter book is a collaboration with several other creatives, including his Rain King Studios mates, Rain King Studios is the four of us besides Steve. And no offense, Steve.
None
yeah,
taken. I got to up my bio, though, man. That's a tough act to follow.
How about that?
Man.
See?
That sounds way cool.
Steve can be our like JJ Dillon. We're the four horsemen, and he's JJ Dillon. He's there.
He gets to come out to the ring with us.
Yeah,
it is wrestling night. So anyway, let's let Steve talk a little bit about the project or should I go to Scott? Let's go to Steve and let him talk about the project that we did for him.
All right, so Rain King Studios had looked to do some art for Supershow the game, which is the #1 wrestling game in the world. Not just by my standards, according to Board Game Geek, we have the highest rated wrestling review of any wrestling game ever. Awesome. And they had
That's cool.
A lot of what I like to do when I work with artists is give them some creative freedoms. Obviously, sometimes we have commissioned work where there's a lot of guidelines and standards, but oftentimes we just create art for content. So my instructions were basically draw whatever you wanted that was related to wrestling, and that was working with some of the characters that we offer on our website, supershowthegame.com. And we got back these 4 pieces, which were all very unique, very awesome. And what interested me about coming on the show would be trying to find almost in real time the inspiration for these cards, what made them pick those characters, what made them draw that specific move. What would you call this and these things to paint the picture of the card that they made, sort of how we paint the pictures and tell stories through our game.
Cool. I think that's awesome.
Steve, you have the #1 wrestling card game or wrestling game period because your game is really good. It is a good game with a good community with people high up in the company who talk to everybody on any tier, not just the guy who spends a lot of money, but the little guy who's learning to play for the first time with their son or daughter at home. You'll answer questions all the time. And it's crazy how almost at any time of the day or night, you could message Steve and most likely you're going to get an answer within about 10 minutes. I don't know how as this thing continues to grow, I don't know how you're going to continue to do that. At some point you have to be overwhelmed, but enjoy it while, enjoy the
It's on the
moment,
cusp of overwhelming, but I do say that I answer all my messages as soon as I can. And you said there are some bizarre times. There's times when I'm running, streams and people are messaging me, and I try to answer every single question. Sometimes now we have a great discussion group with about 1,000 active members. If somebody asks me a question, I send them to X the question there, not because I don't want to answer them, but because it may have already been answered before. And I'm sure other people might have the same questions over and over. So as long as I could do it, I'm happy to do it. Could be worse. The phone could not be ringing and no messages could be going off.
So true.
Steve, before we get into our art and talking about that, I don't know if you're prepared for this because I didn't prepare you at all. You're about to release some cards. You guys signed a deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh.
Could you talk about that? Because that's a big
great
company.
idea.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, New Japan is a very big company. I'd say the big 3 right now are WWE, AEW, and New Japan. And we've had the privilege of working with some guys pre-WWE. We have the privilege of working with AEW with some guys that are current there to give them a little bit more freedom. But we were able to sign a deal to do a New Japan set. So not just individual competitors, but endorsed by the whole company as a whole. And this was particularly exciting, not just because New Japan talent is incredible, but also New Japan is owned by a company that owns a card game company as well called Bushiroad. And
I did not know that.
Being able to work with the company that owns a game manufacturing and owns a wrestling company, it could open a lot of opportunities up for us. So we're excited to hit the 2021 year with the New Japan Pro Wrestling set. The G1 just ended this week, and a lot of the guys in it are going to be featured in our game. So that was really exciting as well.
That's great, man. My biggest fear for Supershow, and you're going to hate me for this, I tell this to the local guys all the time when we play. I run tournaments over at Wizards Asylum quite frequently, as often as we can. Current world champion, Scott Prime, 2-time world champion right here. Wizard wrestling card champion.
Wow.
Anyways,
Wow.
my biggest fear, Steve.
How
is
did
that
we get you?
Yeah, you're so lucky. I'm gifting you guys tonight.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Steve, my biggest fear is, man, I think your game is so good. I'm always scared. Like one day, Vinnie Mac, hey, I'd like to buy your card game, and he's going to throw a lot of money at you where you can't resist, and then like WWE is going to run it into the ground. So I totally fear that, but at the same time, I want you and your family to be blessed. So when that happens, just text me a little sad face and. We'll smile together as you're super rich.
I pitched it to WWE, in the very early stages, and they have terms that are, specific to WWE. Power level of certain characters have to be higher than others. And, I'd like to think I'd never sell out, but listen, everybody has a price.
That $1 Million Man taught us that a long time ago.
I'll be playing at the local stores on my version if that time ever comes.
There you go.
Realistically, we'll cross that bridge if we get there, and I think that WWE would be naive to let our community go, because you touched on something that was really important, is that as a community, listen, spending money is great. You spend money, you always get attention. That's just the way life works. But we look after everybody in our community, and the people in our community that spend money, they look out for everybody else. I can't tell you how frequent it is on our website. If we have a new player in our discussion group, people send them duplicates of their cards to get them started. We have events weekly that we play online via stream, and people in our community anonymously, we know who buys them. The players don't. They buy people entry into these online tournaments and send them the prizes. So we have a very caring group of people. We call it Play It Forward, is what we built this community on. And that really is what makes us more proud than anything, is that aspect of the game that we've built, more so than the sales. Those are great, don't get me wrong, but that's secondary to the environment that we've created.
Well, real quick, I'm going to tell a story. Just leave us all up here, Dirk. You don't have to focus on me. Just last week on a Sunday, we had our tournament up at Wizards Asylum. There was a new guy who just played one wrestling match. Played the game one time before we had a tournament. And I told him, don't worry about it. Don't be nervous. The community's great. They're not going to teach you how to beat us, but we're going to also not let you do dumb moves and stuff like that. And we said, you might even win a belt. If you win the belt, one of the belts, you're going to have to come back. And he goes, I ain't going to win any matches. Well, he had an okay tournament, but we do a thing because I'd like to encourage fellowship and continue people to stay in the tournament and play. So for our second tier belt, which is called the Mid-South Championship, kind of like the Intercontinental Championship, he got a shot at that and he won. So first day out, he already has a belt in our league, and he is really excited and stuff. And I tell people all the time, this is one of those card games where, yes, there's a lot of tech. There's a lot of some characters are super powerful, some aren't, but there's also dice involved. And it's very often that somebody will buy a starter deck and be at a con or, a PAX East or something. And they'll play for the first time and they'll have a really successful tournament because it's just a fun little game. And with the dice, it kind of evens out everything, you can get streaky and you can have bad luck just like anybody else.
Let's talk about how crazy the luck is in the game. We have Gen Con, which is our biggest event. We've had over 100 players 3 years in a row. The same person won 3 years in a row, showing you that there's a lot of strategy involved. But we've also had events where at Gen Con where a person opened up a box set, just like Scott said, and was in the final three, did not put one edit in there. So
that's amazing.
It's just got a really cool balance of anything can happen, but in any game, strategy will let you win out. So
sure,
we're really happy on that front.
Let's share some artwork, guys.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'm going because Robert is our guest. I'm going to go to his piece first. Remember, these are for cards, and Steve is going to talk about kind of what it's going to become. Steve, you're welcome to ask questions. You had some really good ones, so let's do that. There is Robert's piece. Go ahead and ask him what you wanted to ask.
So I know right off the bat who's on this, which is really cool. This is the Alien Invader. This is a player out in Las Vegas, Nevada, versus the Vanilla Gorilla, who came from the XCW. So, Scott, you're probably familiar with this guy.
Yeah, I believe that's Kyle Corbin, I think is his name.
That's exactly correct.
Mm-hmm.
Vanilla Gorilla is one of my favorites. I wrote a comic book issue with him in it. And when I look at this right away, there are 3 types of cards in Supershow. There are strikes, grapples, and submissions. There are leads, follow-ups, and finishers. The finishes are the most powerful. Follow-ups are a little bit less strong, and the leads kind of get the match going. So looking at this card right away, I mean, I would first go to that this is a strike. As the artist, what were you thinking when you drew this? What made you pick these 2 specific characters? Was there something that drew you to them? And what were you thinking as far as names? I guess we'll go question by question on this.
Okay, so let's see here. What made me pick the characters, one, is they were fun characters, and then I really liked the idea of just kind of taking something like this and playing with the but not necessarily luchadors, but the kind of that idea of the guys with the masks, and so you can kind of almost create your narrative around it, and you can kind of have a lot of fun with it because they're out there, they're wild, and also I just really like the idea of this setup of kind of having this kind of grayed out background and then really kind of popping with the green, and really just the strike is a lot of fun. And I don't know, just those characters just were a lot of fun to me. That's the main reason why I jumped on that. So
when I looked at this art right away, what I really loved about it was I felt like the longer I looked at it, the cooler it got. Like even just the detail and the shading in the alien's legs and his thighs, and how exactly how you said the green pops on the gray background. But I think that's really a great sign of cool art, is when you could kind of get more and more immersed in the shadowing. Like even the shadowing around the abdomen of the vanilla gorilla is just, the shading is so cool in contrast to like the darker on the gray side. So I loved it. Now, what would you call this as a wrestling move?
Well, just a strike kick to the head. Exactly
that's perfect. We got a strike called kick to the head in the game. That's really fitting. We could do like alternate art stuff with that. Sometimes we throw some funny names because like cards in our games have keywords. Like one guy, Bobby Ohio, he's a big dude. He started Big Body Brand, so he gets bonuses when he plays cards with like "eat" in the name. So it'd be like kick beating or some things like that. But I think this would be an awesome alternate art kick to the head. I mean, that's exactly what it is a kick to the head. So that could be something that's really cool in the game. Or pump kick, running face kick, that sort of thing.
Very cool.
Cool. Robert, you have anything else that you want to say about your art that maybe wasn't covered? Or
Well, for me, the thing was, it was a lot of fun to kind of play in somebody else's playground and just kind of take something and just run with it. And then I did the whole thing
different.
Yeah, exactly. And then the whole thing was done digitally from beginning to end. I mean, I did some sketches in my sketchbook to kind of practice and learn the characters and kind of figure out how I wanted that pose to execute. And then even did a close up of the gorilla, which was kind of fun. And I even broke out the things for just kind of playing with different.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So broke down and kind of got some stuff up there because even though I knew it was going to be small, I still wanted to try to get as much detail and kind of that moment of whenever the strike is happening. And it was a lot of fun. And I look forward to hopefully doing some more soon. And it was really, really cool. And the angle was kind of nice and exciting to really bring that about and make it pop.
Now, what I like is I deal with a lot of different artists, and some of them need an image to work off to almost trace and sketch. A lot of people draw totally from freehand. It looks like yours started off straight up as a sketch, which offers a lot of different styles. Like some of our comic book style artists tend to draw from sketches, and some of our really, really detailed ones, they need a sketch. And I don't know if they start off with like a digital scan and paint over it type thing to capture all the detail, but it's definitely cool to see, a unique pose drawn from scratch.
Thank you so much.
Gary's got quite a thing to say here. He says, really enjoyed playing a tournament of this. I was out of my element, definitely outplayed by everyone there, was super cool, and wanted me to have fun. I think that speaks to the game and the type of people that are attracted to play it. So there's an endorsement for you.
I appreciate it, Gary. And that's what I go for as a game designer. I mean, we have a mix of people that play like super, super competitively and cutthroat. And sometimes they get in events that I host and, like rules questions will come up and they want to rules lawyer each other. And I'll be like, figure it out between yourselves, guys. Like, it's easier to have fun.
Nice.
So, if I don't have to make a judgment call that, just if you guys play wrong, you played wrong. Life goes on. It's like a wrestling match. Never seen a blown call in sports or something to that extent.
Right.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to go to Sean's art next. So there that is. Go ahead, Steve, if you want to ask his questions.
Sean, I might be sending the same questions out.
No, that's cool.
There are definitely a couple different ones for this. First of all, this to me looks like a power slam, maybe through like an announcer's table or into a barricade or something like that. I'm going to go with this as donation and Damien. I don't know if you remember the two of those.
Damien is correct, yes. The
is
other
donation
one,
incorrect?
I have no idea. to be completely honest, I have
It's just
no
a dude
idea.
with blue pants.
It's just a jobber.
It could be a
It's
jobber.
just
I was going
jobber.
to say, what's funny about donation is his skin tone has varied between so many artists. Some artists draw him very white, some draw him very black, and I don't know where that started, but it landed on the black side.
Maybe there's more than one, Steve. Multiple donations.
Listen, I love that this is a fantasy world, and I know that every artist has their own sort of interpretation, and I try not to be too, suffocating with those little details. And every artist draws things a little bit differently, and I think that's part of the appeal of the SRG universe. And you want to put your own spin on a character. Where for that, I know a lot of places are like, no, it's got to be exactly like this. I think as long as the telltale details are there, that you could piece it together who the character is, and if you wanted to fantasize on a small level or a big level with multiple characters or alternate universes, it's it is what it is. It's really part of the appeal. But on this art, what would you call this right off the bat before I get into my other questions?
What do you mean? As far as a slam, I believe it was like a scoop slam.
Scoop slam, yeah, maybe.
Cool.
It could slam into the announcer's table since it's outside of the ring.
That's what I was thinking. Like you
There
could
you
add
go.
a little bit more. Like in our game, we have scoop slam as the lead, like a match opener.
Okay.
But now that you're outside, I would look at it as a little bit more heavy hitting. Is some of the effects that I might do on this is like it's a follow up, but if the match had no disqualifications or no countouts, it's also a finish. I think that's usually a cool effect because if you're playing in a tournament and it randomly becomes a no disqualification match, your card gets a little bit powered up. So I think those are always fun aspects. What I wanted to ask, because I see it coming up a lot, I don't know the proper term for it because I'm not an artist. There's like a gradient in the background that like makes the colors pop. And I know a couple artists use it and some don't. What is that technique called? And I really enjoy it because I look at it and I feel like it adds like maybe some depth and some texture to the background.
What I did whenever I was coloring it, I added just a simple halftone with a large dot pattern, spacious dot pattern, and then just kind of used a couple of different techniques to saturate the colors that were already there. So
Hey, Casey Jane.
hello, Casey. So it's just a
She says hi, friends, and hi, Steve.
Little Miss Fury's here. She's in my faction, the Crime Waves.
That's awesome. She's one of our regular contributors.
She's incredible. I don't got to toot her horn all day. I could.
But yeah, it's just a couple of different techniques of utilizing the programs, the different halftones and what have you that are available to just make things a little bit more interesting, a little bit more.
I really like it. Is it a flat pattern across the whole back? And then it looks like it's moving a little bit because there are other lines going in different routes, like the lighting in the background, you have the lines from the rings and the ropes. But like if that wasn't there, would it just be a flat pattern?
It would just be a flat pattern.
Wow, that's amazing what you could do with like lights and shading. So this one, I loved all the artwork. And this one really pops, and I feel like it really captures the moment of him screaming and the emphasis on his face. So this was really, really cool. I mean, like I said, I would probably put it in a follow-up / finish type grapple. It was awesome to see Damien. Damien was created by one of our players who usually goes by King Cold. They have a group called the Three Kings, and they're one of the most legendary groups of players in our game. And every once in a while, people like to try to do spin-off characters. So Damien was based off, we have characters that they're under the psycho evaluation by a psychiatrist, Dr. Luna Bellatrix, and he was one of her patients, Damien. So that was a lot of cool. Look, the Mr. X Royce is here, Royce Floyer. This is,
Thank you, Royce.
You could feel it. You could feel it. So
That's good stuff.
And I'm glad we're going to do this because if people want to do commissioned artwork, they could actually request you guys as well. So
Bring it.
Awesome.
Yes.
Cool.
I dig that. Thanks for saying that.
Scott, you're a game player. You agree on the playing of that card? Maybe a follow-up finish, no DQ type,
For sure. It definitely has like that outside of the ring, it could be. Yeah, I see it as like a follow-up, but they're going through the announcer table, so it could do something. Maybe even the fact that like you could, the cards that fish out cards from your discard pile, like if you hit this move, you send somebody through the table and you set up a finish. Basically, you re-grab a finish out of your discard pile, something like that. Or if it was a DQ match, it could also be a finish. Especially if it was like a last man standing match.
That's what I was thinking. Right, like something that had
sure.
no count out or something like that could be kind
for sure. Hey, real quick, while we're focused on me, I'm gonna get me back here, Dirk. I'm gonna give everybody an example. Supershow, just so you know what we're talking about. These little, I know these are hard to see, kind of, and I can't get this to focus. But our art is gonna go. It's gonna be small because these are little cards. There's some. That's a submission card. It's purple. We have this one here. If you look at that, that's the BOSS Steve Resk putting the move on Scott Prime because that's all I am in this game is people put moves on me. And then there's also there's a hot tag move here. If I can get this to focus. Anyways, I'm in there in the way a little bit of background. And real quick, just so you know, you have a character card. There's females, there's males. That's the Fox Assassin from our local group.
We've got a dragon and a bear now. We don't
we got
the dragon and the bear yet at the moment.
And then we also have the shade here. So it is a very cool pro wrestling game. If you like pro wrestling even a little bit, you will love this game, especially if you have a good attitude and you'd like to play some games. My girlfriend, Jennifer, she did not like pro wrestling. She loved this game. Now she likes pro wrestling and this game. So
wow,
it just shows you. And she has her own character and stuff.
So you introduced her to pro wrestling through the game.
For sure. Yeah.
Wow.
She got excited when she saw. So Steve signed, some of these guys like Johnny Gargano and stuff before they were in NXT. And so when she got to see these up and coming guys get signed to WWE, she's like, "Don't we have that character?" And I was like, "Yeah. Ooh, I want to watch this match." And it really got her hooked into pro wrestling. So good stuff.
Let's go back to our deal here. Gary says, really enjoyed the work from you guys, but I felt like Sean's work really fit the game's theme really well.
I agree.
Thank you.
So thank you. And Gary, did you hit us from another location?
Yeah, let him. I'll call him out. That's a different Gary Brown. That's a common name.
Oh, okay. Right. There's so many of them.
There's a lot of white guys named Gary Brown. Come on.
Since Scott has 46 pictures we have to go through here for some damn reason, let's go to him next. So here's the first one of 46.
Well, I probably gave you two different color versions because I was undecided.
Right.
Boom, look at that.
So A or B? This is like an optometrist quiz.
No, I gave Steve options for
quiz one?
Alternate art. I'm thinking down the line.
I'm going to hope that what I said initially is the same as what I said here. Let's see if I'm feeling a little bit different today, but I like A better.
There's A and there's B. Why doesn't everyone chime in?
Because I couldn't decide. That's why I gave them both to begin with.
No, I'm saying there's A and there's B.
The more you do it, the more I become indecisive.
See,
I gave Steve options for 2020. He has
there's B.
He can do A, and then in 2021 he can have an alternate color. I'm thinking ahead for Steve. I'm telling him more
says
cards.
A.
All right.
Mike says that the art looks good, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Royce says the game mechanics are such that anyone can play and experience wrestling in a very approachable way. It's a great game.
Amen.
And Walt says he still needs to get his starter set.
Well, Walt, anytime, man.
Okay, so there is A and B.
I'm leaning
right. If anyone else wants to, do you want to talk about Steve? You want to ask him your questions about? We know who one of these people is.
The other one is the Lucha Maniacal Uber Star.
Wow, that is wonderful.
He's the roommate of Jeremy Steigerwald.
That's not as good as
never pays his rent.
It's
Negasonic Teenage Warhead or whatever, but it's still pretty good.
Now, move-wise, what are you thinking for this, Scott? I mean, this could go. What I love about it, I'm still afraid, but you
Ken votes A.
All right, Steve. I must tell you on all of this right here. This is a finisher. This is the Oklahoma F5. See what I did there? Because we have tornadoes here. So this is the Oklahoma F5. This is a generic finisher for you, or it could just be a standing fireman's carry. Either way,
that's what I was going to say. What I like about this is like we could, when it's a still frame like that, it could be an F5, it could be a Death Valley driver, it could be a fireman's carry.
Mike says
like a flipping senton or so many different things. But
yeah, you can do a Death Valley driver out of this, which is also
so far
finished.
everyone is voting for A. There's your A.
All right, fine.
I think A really pops a lot more.
It's been
B
universal
gives you
A.
like a little bit more of a focus on the actual art, so I feel like I do like them both.
Before Steve asked the question, I picked my character, Scott Prime, who's in the game.
Hard to believe.
I picked him, well, to be honest, I was going to have him taking the move, and then I thought, you know what? I'm very blessed that for some reason, I guess I'm generic enough that a lot of artists, like, we need somebody taking this move. Yeah. Let's get this white guy here. Yeah. He's very generic. And they pick me, and I'm taking the moves in like probably 30 cards or more, right?
Walt says A.
And so I was going to have – I love Uberstar as a character because what I like – I might hurt some feelings tonight, but I'm going to just be honest. What I like about Supershow is when people create a character that's kind of like a caricature of them. So like my character is based off I went to wrestling school at like 18. I traveled the world. I was a luchador for a while in Mexico, where I was a big baby face. I was El Galo Luchador, I think is what my character's name was. And then I lost the mask because that's what you do in Mexico. So then I went to Germany, where I started a feud with Merlin Van Berlin, and we were tag team partners.
Effing complex.
No, it's awesome. And
this guy right here, that was your enemy.
And I was tag team partners with Merlin Van Berlin. And there you go. And he betrayed me. And, and it was like I had to cut my hair as a loser, cut their hair match or whatever. So I left. And then I went to Japan, where I was teamed up with Super X. And then me and Super X having a fallout. And I was the baby face. And then the crowd did a double turn. They hated my guts and loved the heel. So then I left Japan and came back to the United States as this like grizzled, think of like an Arn Anderson grizzled vet who's just tired of everybody. So I'm just out for myself. I'm the villain. I'll cheat to win. And that's what I do. And that's what my character is. And I love when people I love the mask characters. I'll be honest. If all these people were just baby faces with no mask when I played the game at first, I don't know if I would have loved it as much as I do. But I love the mask characters because we can kind of create our own backstory with this. And I like the characters that are like caricatures of people. So I love Uberstar. And a lot of people, yeah, there you go.
Deals over there.
There you go. There's Snake Pit and Big Shot. So a lot of the players online start feuds, and they get together and like, hey, let's talk trash on each other. And really, I wanted to do it so bad with Uberstar. I wanted to be the heel that unmasks him. And then I just realized, like, I don't have enough time in real life to like be KB on a wrestling card game and everything. So, and it just never happened because everything canceled with the current situation of the world. So because we had a big get together planned for the Grand Gathering, and I wanted to build that up to a match against the Uberstar Scott Prime versus our Uberstar for the fun of it. Anyways, I see my move as a finisher, or even like a standing fireman's carry, or like you said, into a senton or a Death Valley driver, Steve. What I would really like, but I'm kind of biased, I'd like it to be a generic finisher. But you're the boss, and you're going to do whatever you want anyways.
Listen, I try to always take people's opinions into consideration on what they want, and we always do our best to come as close to what they want. And, a generic grapple finish is easy enough to do, so we can make that happen. Sometimes the requests are just like way out of there. Like, I want it to be a generic grapple that can't be stopped, and when you hit it, you win. Nobody wants to play with that. So
no, when I was drawing it, like, I really thought of it being called like the Uber F5 because originally, like I said, in my original sketch, I had Uberstar doing that to Prime, and then I thought, no, I always take the move. I'm going to switch this up because I'm drawing it so I can change it up. And so I switched the characters, and that's why I was thinking like the Oklahoma F5, you know, with the tornadoes and everything that Oklahoma's known for. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on it. But I'm just happy to be on another card. It's really fun when you create your own character, and I love seeing myself get all these moves.
So this is just, I don't know if I'm getting way too off topic with the game, but there's a card called the Oklahoma Stampede, which is an old school move, and it's pretty good. And I was thinking that like there are cards that are called skill requirements. You can only use 2 of them in your deck. If they were both skill requirements, here's Oklahoma Stampede. Maybe you could do something where like that card gets a bonus if you have Oklahoma Stampede in play.
There you go. Oh, I like it, Steve. I like this. I like it.
That is cool.
And then it makes your Oklahoma Stampede, which is already a cool card, an even cooler card because people could combo into it.
And it should be unstoppable if you're playing with Scott Prime and you're facing Uberstar.
Yes.
I love Uberstar. I think he's a great character.
Oh, he's great. One of his finishers says if he wins the match with it, that you should admit that he is the one true luchador.
That's great.
Scott has another piece here. We're going to bring that up too and talk about it.
We can just real quick because I want to really get to. So
real quick in Scott's world is a very slippery slope on
it's
this.
18 hours later.
Wow. You hurt tonight, Steve.
No, I wasn't showing fight. I was just pointing out.
That's all right. So this is a submission move that I did. I guess we can tell the world here. Is that okay, Steve?
Of course, yeah. The floor is yours.
So at Wizards Championship Card Wrestling, our local league, me and JK Brawling, my real life Jennifer, my babe, we have been 2-time tag team champions as 5-star Mayhem. She's the Mistress of Mayhem, JK Brawling, and then there's Scott Prime. So she's kind of like the baby face to my heel. We're kind of Beauty and the Beast, but I didn't want to take that kind of name. So we are 5-star Mayhem is our tag team name, and to play off the Scott Prime and, you know, the Mistress of Mayhem. So here we are
very over, I have to say. I mean, the Mistress of Mayhem, she has a cool look. It looks like there's a little autism awareness. She has a little Harry Potter theme to it. Like, what's really not to love? She's exactly a really popular character when she's on display in conventions.
So when I got a tag team card coming out, and we had some finishers that I talked to Steve, and he's like, "Well, we still need a submission," and he's like, "If you need to do it," and I was like, "Yes, sir." And so here we are. Here's doing our submission. We call this the Love Tap, and this is going to be part of the tag team 5-star Mayhem.
Looks like a half crab and a crippling crossface or a crippler crossface,
right? At the same time,
yeah. Which looks like it hurts a lot, so this should be a good
yeah, and we're doing this to one of our local friends, Lawman Nick. So
they're great.
Nick Brewer, yeah. So it's fun to torture him with having him get beat up on cards too.
We always ask when people draw on that to get their permission, and sometimes I had a request where somebody requested a wrestler, and I had reached out to them, and he was like, "Is this a normal request?" And I'm like, let me just paint the picture for you. Like, in our world, it's very common for people to want to do moves on people they know. It's not like this guy's scary and actually wants to powerbomb you. So let me just give it a little context before I pitch you this idea.
Early this year, we had
sends a heart there.
Earlier this year, we had a big time feud with the what do they call the Law and Paw connection over the tag belts. We had a good like 4 or 5 months. A good 4 or 5 month feud with those guys, and we had a couple matches that went to the 5 crowd meter, and so like of course we wanted Nick in that. It was an honor to say we beat those guys.
Gary, we're going to expect you to see you on Twitch next, by the way.
Yeah, there's a challenge, bud.
Are we done with that, or do we need to?
Yeah, no, there's nothing else.
All right,
I don't want to take away from you.
That's okay, man.
I love the name, the Love Tap, for sure.
We are kind of frisky.
Oh man. Let's move on to the next subject. All right, that's my artwork, Steve. What did you want to know?
I want to know. how long it took you to perfect that signature, because that is a really cool looking
Well, it's
signature
taken,
over there.
I started that when I was about 13 years old, and I'm much older than that now. So yeah,
So moved, what made you draw this particular move?
this is kind of a razor's edge.
Yep.
And I believe that someone else more current is doing the same thing, where they grab the shoulders and basically do a slam.
I think it's Drew Galloway.
What's the name of that?
I know Sheamus did it. I believe he called it the Celtic Cross.
Celtic Cross. That's it.
He's still doing it.
That's it. It's the same sort of move. In this case, I know you wanted to know what the inspiration was. I liked Mr. Pink because he kind of reminded me of
King Pink.
The Kingpin. Yeah. I kind of look like the Kingpin, and I like the Kingpin. It's a guy in a suit. I thought it'd be kind of interesting. And then the other character is the Prince of Fashion, and I pulled up his card. There's the Prince of Fashion right there. And what I liked about him is like from other characters like Ric Flair or Brutus the Barber Beefcake or Big Papa Pump or others who have that kind of routine. They're kind of a dandy or whatever. I just got a kick out of that sort of thing. And so that's why I picked that character. And also because it's based on a real dude, which I thought was pretty cool. And I knew that I'd be able to find pictures of his face, which kind of sometimes makes that easier to draw, if you can get some reference and stuff.
So yeah, the Prince of Fashion was based off a character who also goes by the alias Tyler Breeze in WWE. We ran into him at a convention, and he tried the game out and he loved it. He came in, he shot a little video with us, and the next day he came with his hat on, his hood up, all basically incognito, and was like, "I need to get everything." And
wow.
a bunch of stuff. He loved
That's
it.
So cool.
He came to a few of our events and he played, and he was all in. He's a very smart gamer. He was a ton of fun. So it was really cool to have the Prince of Fashion. He had reached out to us on Twitter and was like, "Can you put me in the game?" And we were like, "Can we put you in the game?" It was like one of those little dances. So we were really excited that we were able to make that happen. And I'm glad that you put him up because he's very recognizable. Especially against King Pink, who was our former LFF world champion on our belt. Right away, I thought Razor's Edge. So knowing that you're a Razor Ramon guy was pretty cool. So I think being that it's a Razor's Edge might also be a finisher or a follow-up grapple. Right. I noticed you did the textures too in the background.
Yep. Halftones.
That's what they're called, halftones?
Yep.
And I love that the way it makes these cards look. And I think we only have one artist that we use a lot that uses them right now.
That's Juan Pablo does it a lot.
Oh, does he? So then we have two. See, look, there you go. The more you know. And you have like a little shading and shadowing in the background. And I feel like this is me asking technique questions. When you see these black shadows and spots, is that solid? And the halftones is what gives it that little depth? Is that like a black solid spray of like spray paint technique or something?
Yeah, in this case, it was kind of like a airbrush type technique that was converted into a halftone. So it's not a flat deal. It kind of fades out, and what that is it takes that various from dark to lighter, and then tries to estimate that, which is why like down at the bottom it's a little bit darker, and then up at the top it's a little less. It's just a way of kind of when you deal with this sort of stuff, you can deal with it many ways. You can draw everyone's damn face in the background, or you can make it kind of a lighting effect, which is what I did there. And so the lighting's coming from the top left-hand corner, and as you get further away from that, it gets darker in the background.
Yeah, we have definitely a wide variety of backgrounds for crowds. Some people make it a little bit realistic. Sometimes they actually make it too realistic, and I'll go in there with like a blur tool and blur it out. Some people just use lighting. Some use textures. Some use like a crowd silhouette, which I happen to like because sometimes I feel like that gives it that really like animated feel to the cards. But I love this art. One thing that I love about it, well, two things really. You use like a pastel tone, which is, unique to a lot of some of the styles we have. Some are very realistic, some are very bright, some are very vibrant. This is like almost like Easter type colors. I don't know.
Right.
And I like that because I feel like it gives a different look. And I also like that you were, very heavy with black lines for some of the shading, especially in the.
That's kind of what I do. I kind of like,
style,
yeah,
right?
I kind of like, the darkness and stuff. I mean, a lot of times it's even more dark than that. I kind of tried to keep it a little bit light. And honestly, when I did this was a few months ago, and my coloring has evolved quite a bit since then. But this was really the first step towards kind of my current coloring style. So in any case, this was a little bit of a breakthrough for me because it was an opportunity for me to maybe experiment a little bit. I was really happy with it. I like the way it turned out. And like great. Robert said, it's an opportunity for me to kind of do something a little different, it was a lot of fun.
It's always good to push your boundaries, expand your horizons in any aspect and try something different. You never know what you'll find out about your own skills and talents. I mean, I think that all these pieces were awesome. And that's what I love about art. They're all very, very different. And all of them, to me, would be great additions and are going to be great additions to the game. So I look forward to even doing more. I spoke to Scott about putting a challenge out to you guys about doing steel cage themed cards because we opened up.
That sounds pretty. I mean, I've already called what I want to do. I love that. I already know what I want to do immediately, but apparently I had the same idea that Scott did. So we're going to have to figure out who's going to do that. Gary says, love the movement on this card. I imagine the guy in the suit climbing up the ropes to hopefully finish the match, only to be surprised and slammed.
That's what I see too, like the old Vader bomb. He's climbing up to do it, and then he's up there and reverses him.
I got a name for this. It's the Prince of Fashion. So I figured it should be a fashion. It should be a fashion move. So I'm going to call it. My suggestion is off the rack.
Oh, that's very good. I thought you were going to say the fashion statement, but off the rack is pretty good too.
The fashion statement's good too. Yeah, fashion statement's good too. So take your pick. And Walt says it has a watercolor feel. And Chris, thanks for chiming in. He says art looks great.
Well, that is Prince Butters.
Thank you very much.
And all these guys, again, we'll make it available if people are looking to do custom art. I'm sure you guys have no problem with being requested.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us, if not all of us, are doing commissions. I don't want to speak for everyone here. I certainly am. I think that Robert is correct. Sean? Yes. Mm-hmm. And I know that Scott is. So we all four are taking commissions. And since we're on the subject, I probably ought to put up where you can get in touch with us. If they
wanted to commission some Supershow cards, I'm sure you guys would be happy for me to reach out to you. And
would love to do. I would like to do a character card. That sounds like a lot of fun to me, is to do something like that.
What I always love to do is, and I'm always for cross promoting. I love your guys' show. I love your production value. I hope that the show I'm working on has production value like this. If you guys wanted to do something to promote and draw up a character, maybe a single character or a group or a trio character, that's something that we would definitely be open to.
Cool. Yeah, that would be a blast. What else do we want to say on this subject? We talked about ourselves, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it feels weird.
I don't know if I'll be here for the end of the episode, so I just want to plug something now while I can.
Yeah, do so. Yeah, do it.
If you guys love the game, you can check it out at supershowthegame.com. That's a given, but that's not what I want to talk about. We're doing a toy drive for Toys for Tots. Our goal is to fill a whole van. We started 3 days ago. We currently have 4 totes of toys. We're going to announce it officially on our show tomorrow. We want to fill it. I originally said I wanted to fill a U-Haul truck with toys to donate. Eventually, I thought I might not be able to rent a U-Haul, so let me just fill the minivan. So filling the van is the first goal. But I would like to fill that up and get a U-Haul in and be able to drop those off for a wrestling show that's collecting toys. So they're looking for new wrestling toys. We're open to any sort of new toys because it won't just be limited. We're going to have so many wrestling toys that anything that people will be looking to donate. We're going to have sales on our website with raffles. So you can buy a product, get some product for yourself. You also get a raffle for some prizes. You could trade us toys. If you wanted to trade toys for Super Show product, we're going to be open for that. You can donate money or you can mail us toys. So we really hope that you can help us fill the whole van or the truck. 2020 has been a rough year for a lot of people.
Oh boy.
For me, it's had a lot of amazing things. It's had a lot of hard things to deal with, but we definitely don't want people to end this year on a low. And if we can make, Christmas or the holiday season is a little special for everybody. I think that it could be, end 2020 on a high and set up a positive 2021 for a lot of people.
Steve, I love this. This is awesome that you're doing this. What do they need to do to get in touch with you if they want to give you some toys and stuff?
You could message me directly on Facebook. You could email me, Steve Resk at srguniverse.com. You could message the Supershow the Game Facebook, / Supershow the Game on Facebook. And as I said, we're going to have, if you wanted to purchase some stuff to help us raise more money, we're going to have deals up tomorrow night. If you just wanted to donate, you could just donate, even if you wanted to buy some product and say, hey, I heard you guys doing a fundraiser. I want some of my sales to go for the fundraiser. We'll absolutely do that. If you wanted to mail us toys, we'll give you the address on where to mail it. We really, we've done things like Kickstarters where we had to hit a goal. The goal is I want to fill up the van and need to rent a U-Haul truck. That's really my goal for this. So
that is so awesome. Yeah, I do love that for sure. Yeah. Let's see. We got one more comment. Jeree says she loved this conversation as a non-visual artist. She learned a lot. Cool. Yeah, we learned some stuff too.
I started to say during this whole process, I think we learned from each other some, and there's still things to learn. Dirk
There's
and
a
Sean
reason
definitely have to show me those halftone stuff because I love that look.
I feel like, again, we talked about it earlier. It's one of those things where the more you look at it, the more it like plays with your mind and your eyes. So I had really liked that. And I'm going to, if we talk about it at a later date, I'm going to pull up some of my artists that do some halftones and show some of our guys and do some compare and contrast type thing.
It's something that's kind of it's something that you used to do all the time. Because that's the way that they printed stuff. And then fine art picked up on it. There are several fine artists who did this sort of stuff. I can't, none of the names are coming to me. Robert, you want to help me out on any of those people that do serigraphy or whatever? They used, halftones in the art. And then, kind of disappeared.
Like Lichtenstein.
Lichtenstein, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. And there's maybe a few others that do that sort of stuff.
A lot of the pop artists. So.
Even who was the guy who sliced up the shark?
Shark slicer.
I don't remember that. Anyway, I think that he did some stuff with dots, which is very much like he would do big dots, or he would do like a whole canvas with dots and stuff. We had this in the Oklahoma City Museum of Art here recently, as a matter of fact. In any case, and then now it has returned and has gone back. People were putting them in there, despite the fact that we have great printing methods. People are putting them back in there because it's so dynamic and cool. So that's what we did. All right. Are we ready to move on to the next deal?
Steve, you gonna stick around, or do you need to go to your own show?
I'll stick around for the next segment.
We knew we'd get you around. You
know us. We want to have you. That's
I've
awesome.
had no red flags or flares go up right now. It seems to be under control. So
everyone, there's nothing's on fire. Everything is okay.
Steve, how many other shows do you do a week with SRG Universe?
I do the Super Show Dojo on Tuesday. I do Talk of the Universe on Wednesday. Occasionally, I do a streaming event called the Boss Friday Beatdown on Thursdays. And now I've just launched a new program called Why Wrestling, which we record on Tuesdays, which is going to be for a new network called the Y Networks. And we had our meeting with the producers today of the network, and they had said that they like it. Everything's great. We're going to shoot for a reveal around November 9th for the first official episode, and we're going to be filming all day Tuesdays for an episode to air on Thursday. So
you're not doing much at all.
No, that's not.
You need something on Monday so you can be around doing it all the time.
I like your studio there. You've got all of the Super Show stuff on the back wall there and stuff. And you said you had a couple of cameras, so you're going all in on this. There's no doubt about it.
That's for his OnlyFans page, dude. That's not for Super Show.
That's where the real money comes.
Yeah, good.
This is Grand Machine Studios, we call it, named for my grandma, who would let us use her basement for
Steve,
5 straight years.
I remember you
Steve-
talking about that last time.
let me pitch a quick idea to you. This has to happen. I
If it's
mentioned
about
it.
OnlyFans, I'm going to stop you right there.
No. I'm being serious. I posted this somewhere, but I'm sure that you didn't see my little post. You need a character called the Grand Machine. Like, I don't know what your grandma's real name is, but it could be the Grand Machine, Betty Taylor, whatever her name is. And she needs to be drawn almost in a black and white way, like not Fabulous Moolah, but the other girl.
Mae Young.
Like Mae Young, a tough, classic wrestler. I would love
That's
a
a
character
great
card
idea.
with finishers from the old times in black and white in that same style, and it's your grandmother as a wrestler from that era as a character. I would love that, and then you
I
could
think
still
that
have
a
the
lot of
entrance
people
card.
would, and they would love that. That we were actually supposed to do a match at Grand Gathering 2, where if I had one, the person had to commission grandma, and if they had one, we had to give them a character. So it was like
Okay, all right, well,
Okay.
but I like the black and white old school look for it. I think that when I would make
Definitely.
my grandma a character, she would have to do with like cleaning up somehow, whether like getting cards out of people's discard pile or something, because
right.
that's like all I think about is my grandma, besides being a workaholic at 91 years old, everything is like you pick it up, you put it back, you clean up, me, like when I'm working, I'm a disaster. I'll rip like all the tabs off envelopes as I'm shipping, and I'll throw them on the floor, and then I'll sweep when I'm done. But she'll like individually pick up every single one, like in real time. I'm like, it's
That's
such
the
a waste of
greatest
time,
generation.
Grandma, And
That's the
that is-
greatest generation right there.
They really
That's
are.
right. Yep.
Before we get out of this, I do want to say something. This was the first thing that the four of us have done as Rain King Studios in 25 years. The last thing we did a comic book thing together, and we got together because we were friends and we were artists and we were kind of all in the same place at that time. Sean is the one who kind of resurrected this thing and made it something, created a website for it, and revitalized our logo and all that sort of stuff. And then Scott reached out to Steve and said, we'd like to do a project together, the four of us and stuff. And Steve, thank you. It's nice enough. You were nice enough to give us a shot as a team to do this. I mean, you didn't know what you were going to get. Who knows? Who knows what you're going to get on this thing? I hope that we did okay for you.
I loved it. I mean, sometimes I don't want to say in trouble with my partners. My partners have a joke with me. They're like, you can't work with everybody that's willing to work with you. And I'm like, I disagree totally. I think that everybody deserves an opportunity or chance. You never know,
Right.
what somebody can do or what somebody could learn if you give them a chance. I just had a meeting with this guy, Michael Mosley, and he told a story about Xavier Woods, who's a big wrestler. And he said he's a cosplay designer. And he recapped that Xavier Woods was the first person to give him an opportunity. And Xavier Woods basically told me, you're unhappy with your job. Why don't you jump and do this? And he helped him out with his supplies. And now the guy makes gear for WWE and AEW. And sometimes that all it takes is somebody to, give you that thumbs up and a little support.
If he would just get rid of that trombone.
No way, bro. That's amazing.
Dude.
Chris says Grand Machine in black and white. Likes the idea. Do it.
We got 4 people who could draw up a sketch.
That's true. That's a good point. I just wanted to shout out to the guys and say that it's really fun to do this sort of thing. And this is not we are currently working on a big project together, and we're really looking forward to talking about that as well. And hopefully, we are the good thing about being in a studio. We're not all in the same location, unfortunately, but maybe someday. But we do learn from each other, and we do answer each other's questions, and we do draw strength and inspiration from each other. And that is the best thing about doing a studio together. And it's the best thing about doing it with some of your best friends in the world.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
We're friends?
Just for the show, dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
my best friend.
There you go.
Hey.
All right, we're moving on to the next thing. All right, we got a double DC section here. The first one is every Green Lantern confirmed for the HBO Max TV show. Green Lantern is coming to HBO Max as one of the next DC shows in 2021 and will feature several beloved characters from the massive DC mythology. After being announced to be in the works back in 2019, HBO Max finally took the next step by picking Green Lantern and making it a series. But it probably came as a surprise to a lot of eager fans when it came to the cast. While no actors are attached yet, the streaming service revealed that Green Lantern's cast will include multiple iconic members of the Green Lantern Corps, from the Golden Age Green Lantern, Alan Scott, to younger members like Jessica Cruz, Simon Baz, and Guy Gardner. It'll be the first time they ever appear in live action. So to talk about that, first, I'm going to go to Scott.
I think this sounds really cool. Now, the neckbeard in me is like, really? Every Green Lantern ever? We're going to have Nort. We're going to have Mogo. We're going to have all these Green Lanterns. We'll see.
Don't talk bad about Nort. Steve will get you.
Oh, yeah? That's true. He likes all the Green Lanterns. There's so many little offshoot Green Lanterns out there. So I think they probably opened themselves up for failure by saying that amongst the comic book community. But I think this is a great idea. I mean, like, the Green Lantern Corps is like a spectacular idea of like galactic policemen, throughout the universe. And I think it'd be really cool. I doubt they do this, but I don't want them to follow one character. I want them to have a story arc over here in this part of the universe, and you follow these three characters working together, and then maybe you go over here and have a solo adventure, and then you come back over here and you have a group activity or something. That's what I would love to see, but they probably won't do that.
Like different stories, you're saying?
Just different stories.
Each week is different stories?
Yeah, I mean, it's all Green Lantern stories, but kind of like, Black Mirror has all the different actors and stuff doing one story or a couple. That's what I would like to see. I think that'd be amazing.
Cool. Sean, what do you think?
I'm excited for it. I'm probably one of the few that looked at the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie and wasn't completely disappointed. The story wasn't all that great. I fully admit, but I don't believe that had anything to do with Ryan Reynolds or his weird-ass costume. It had to do more with the actual story. They were trying to cram too much into that one story. But to see the Green Lantern Corps in that movie, that's what really excited me.
Yeah.
And so
they went for it.
Right. And to know that's kind of the direction that they're going with this show, that's really exciting. Nothing against Hal Jordan, but what's interesting about the Green Lantern is the core, not just
Hal Jordan,
Earth's Defender. It's all of them,
right?
Sure.
And so I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do that and who all they bring. Are we going to see Sinestro early, or is he already going to be corrupt? How are they going to play all that? I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do.
Steve, what do you think?
I share a lot of that sentiment. Ryan Reynolds is a great actor. I don't think that he did the Green Lantern story as a whole justice. You have the Green Lantern Corps, which is awesome. It's probably one of the most iconic DC characters, of all time. But I don't feel like on the big screen it's ever been done right. And that's tough. When you're a fan and there's been so much good stuff to come from the comic books beforehand, sort of what we touched on earlier. I think that to do this right, where the movie failed was they were cramming way too much into a movie. Mm-hmm. If you're able to do this over a series, that can really be the route to go with something like this. This is with Green Lantern Corps and having so much character depth and, so many different worlds that they could explore literally. This is something that could go on for seasons and seasons and seasons. So I hope that this really gets the TLC that Green Lantern really deserves, because visually with the ring, there's so much you can do on camera that might be even more. I mean, it was cool in comic books. Now imagine the visual animation with something like that. I think that if this is done right, it could be a great series. But there's always the opportunity that it falls pretty flat, which I don't think will be the case, but it can't be worse than the movies, in my opinion.
All right. That's a low bar.
Yeah.
Damon was talking about another subject that we were supposed to do first, but we bumped that subject this episode because Willow was announced. We might talk about that subject next time, but Damon, thank you for chiming in. Mike says that seemed was pretty spectacular in the movie, and they could base it off the Tales of the Green Lantern Corps. I forgot about that. They had that.
Yeah.
They had that series. It's a really good point. And Walt says Scott watched the Green Lantern Emerald Knights animated movie. I might dig that.
I remember the cartoon, the Saturday morning cartoon. It was good. It was fun. I liked it.
Mike says also, definitely, Steve, there's a lot to do with CGI for the show. I mean, it's literally anything you can imagine. I mean, that's the power of
That's
the ring.
the power of it. Yeah, right.
I mean, it's literally anything, which is pretty cool. Rob, what do you think, man?
Well, I think it could be really, really cool. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of Green Lantern, so to speak. I didn't follow it a lot, but I am familiar with a lot of the characters and kind of the role that they've played in some of the larger ensemble things. And I think it would be really good if you can start it out with a place that most people can relate to, whether that is with Hal Jordan or Alan Scott or whatever, but make it to where your viewers can initially kind of latch on and then expand outward. But don't spend too much time with it. Show us the variety and the things that can happen. And I think they'd have a real chance for a winner. And then also I hope that they don't get too bogged down in special effects or in CGI, because I don't want it to be where you're like, okay, well, this could have just been an animated show. I hope that they kind of can work that fine line between being overly CGI and still keep a fair amount of live action and practical effects if possible.
My only overall fear about this is that they could, in comics, a lot of times just to kick up sales or something, they'll tease Batman's wearing the ring, kind of like they do in Marvel. Somebody picks up Captain America's shield, somebody grabs Thor's hammer. I don't want episodes. I guess in my brain, it's already going to be an anthology series. I just hope they don't go milk those cows, because there's so many. I don't want to see Superman with a ring or Batman or anything. I want to see all these extra characters, and there's so many out there that I think there's just a plethora of stories to tell.
I'm doing too many things at the same time. It's all my fault.
Yeah, it's all right.
I think that it's very interesting if you look at who they say are going to be on this, you look at who's not going to be on this, who have they taken off the table? And they've taken off the table Hal Jordan, and they've taken Jon Stewart. So I think that that's very informative on what they have planned maybe for the movies, because most of the time that's the reason why you don't have a Batman series on the CW, is because they don't, they want to save Batman. He's special. So they want to save him only for the movies. So they have saved Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see those two characters in the big movie soon. Secondly, I think that these, if I remember reading correctly, and I didn't check it today, but I believe this is being produced by Greg Berlanti, who's the guy that did the CW series. And Greg Berlanti has had a lot of success on the CW. It's going to be interesting to see if he does a CW type show for HBO Max, or if he takes this as an opportunity to maybe take it up a notch and maybe do a little bit more adult, something that's a little bit more challenging than what he has given us on the CW. Not that the CW stuff by and large hasn't been entertaining, although as it gets long in the tooth, it's not as interesting. But again, he had a lot of success, particularly at the beginning. I'd say that, overall the Arrow series was really good until they got too damn many, until everyone and their dog became a superhero. In this case, you got a lot to work with here. The Green Lantern Corps, you could do a lot of stuff with this. And like other people said, the CGI could be very interesting, especially if they're willing to dump some serious money into this. I think this could be very interesting to see what happens here.
The Flash was really well done, and it was an effects heavy show.
It was.
And but they did an excellent job with that, I thought.
First few seasons were excellent.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, their story started to kind of drift downhill, but that's neither here nor there. As far as production of the show goes, it looked great. The actors were great. Whenever they brought in different heroes or villains, everything looked great. It felt like the stories from the comics. I think they did a great job with that. Actually, I think they did a great job with all the CW stuff to a point. And then obviously things got a little big for their britches. But overall, I think if you look at the Flash as kind of a guidepost, I think they're going to do a really good job with the core, at least in the beginning. We'll see how far it goes.
All right. I think that's going to conclude. We don't have any comments. Steve, do you need to wrap this up, man?
I need to head out shortly. I have a show going on as well. I know that your next little segment is putting things on blast that we watched.
Yeah. Are you want to hang around for that?
The only thing that I've watched was Hoobie Halloween. I don't know if anybody else has checked that out. The show on Netflix. Mr. Hoobie Halloween? The Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
It's funny. If you like Adam Sandler movies, I watched it with my wife. My wife is a big Halloween buff. And we had a couple good laughs. I would definitely recommend it if you just want something that's light and just, Happy Madison films. That
right.
Sort of thing. Is you kind of get, what you're getting when you're going into it, but I had a few good laughs. So that's really the only thing I've done, in the past couple of weeks, trying to get this new show called Why Wrestling off the ground. So that's my little putting on blast.
Steve, before you leave us, plug all your stuff again.
Yeah.
Really quick.
Let's send people to your stuff, please.
Supershowthegame.com, Facebook /SupershowTheGame. There's a Super Show discussion group as well, where if you're a new player, I'd suggest going there because you'll be very welcoming. A lot of good stuff. We have an Instagram, which is pretty active, and now we've launched a new page, SRG Universe Presents Why Wrestling. So if you want to go over there and help us promote that, we greatly appreciate it. Just again, we're trying to hashtag fill the van, that Toys for Tot drive. Please, you can reach out to me personally. You can send me an email. You go through the website to contact us. We want to hear from you in regards to this. We really want to make this a very special moment with all the toys we raise.
Awesome.
Steve, can I say I really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to do this, and it was a really fun project. And speaking for myself, I'm looking forward to whatever else we do next, whether it's artwork or helping you with promotion, because it's fun to have you on the show, honestly.
Oh, thank you. I mean,
we
you
always
guys
have a
are
good time with
great.
you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I try to enjoy my time. You guys are really great to talk to, and I wouldn't come back on the show and be so enthusiastic coming back if the conversation wasn't really awesome. So you guys are really good at what you do, and the show looks great. And I think that you guys are on 28 straight episodes, and
28.
I have no doubts that you'll run all through 2021, and it'll get better and better and bigger and bigger. So I'm excited to be a part of that ride for you guys. And also, who knows? Maybe we'll collaborate in other ways. There's a lot of stuff that we could do together. Yeah. I look forward to that.
Sounds good. Steve, thanks again for coming on.
My pleasure.
All right.
We're going to get off to the next deal. If he's gone.
He's gone.
That's it right there. All right. I'm going to go to our next segment, which is on blast. So on blast, we're going to talk about stuff that we watched or did or what. It's just something we want to plug. And for that first, I'm going to go to Rob.
Okay. Let's see here. Stuff that we watched or consumed, just anything of that nature.
Played games, read a book, whatever you want to talk about.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, basically the main thing that I've been working that I've enjoyed a lot lately is Jason Sean Alexander's Philadelphia. I've really enjoyed that.
I'm very interested in that. You say that's good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of got some fun little things going on. I mean, obviously I love his artwork and that kind of gritty sort of style and seeing how he crafts that stuff. It's been a lot of fun kind of reading that and just really I picked up the first trade not too long ago, and then I'm into the next story arc that's going on. I think they're 8 issues in, so it's actually been kind of a lot of fun to kind of see that. And again, it's a little bit. There's some things I'd like that they would do different, but at the end of the day, they're going long term, and I'm usually more interested in kind of just the finite story. But so they're kind of keeping it working, and it's good to see what they're doing, and it's a lot of fun that they're working through it. So I'm really enjoying that a lot. So
that's cool, man. That's something I'm very interested in. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. That's cool.
okay, cool.
Sean, you're up, man.
I dove into a very interesting little gift that I purchased for myself.
Here we go.
Oh.
What?
Friday the 13th.
Are all those
Special
directed by
edition.
Ron Howard?
That's a good callback there, Scott.
You're dead to me. Dead.
Rob may crawl in that back window there by you
This
to grab that.
This is the special edition collector's box set of every Friday the 13th movie made, from the originals produced through Paramount on through to the ones done by New Line and so on. It's a fantastic box set so far. I've watched the first 3 that have brand new transfers to Blu-ray with 4K transfer on the original very first Friday the 13th, as well as some special editions and extended cuts and so on and so forth. It's so far it's been a fun set. I highly recommend it. It's produced by Shout Factory. If you're at all like myself, a fan of slasher films, I highly recommend it. It's been fun so far. We'll see if I can get them all done by Halloween.
There you go.
There you go. All right, Scott, you are next.
I'm next. All right. I want to talk about no TV shows because I haven't watched any TV. So, anyways, I want to talk about this. This is Villainous #1 by Mad Cave Studios.
Wow, here we go.
I would like to tell you all
Showtime.
about this, but I've already recorded my thoughts about this. I'm also going to, so you're going to have to go watch something else on YouTube to get my thoughts on
It
this
will be
episode.
up tomorrow on the Taskforce Geek channel.
Yeah, it was recorded last night, but somehow it didn't get put up. Anyways, our guest from episode, I believe it was episode 22, Stoney Williams, he wrote this book. So I talk about it on a Prime review that will come out tomorrow. In addition, I kind of want to, I'm kind of more interested in Robert and Sean's opinion if they've seen this. This is Giant Size X-Men #1. This is the tribute to Lean Ween and Dave Cockrum, which is also my part 2 in that same Scott Prime reviews. But I don't know if Sean and Robert have seen this. Every page is done by a different artist or a team of artists. They take Dave Cockrum's layouts from X-Men. It's exactly like he did it, except in a different style with every page. They cleaned up some of the script because there was some things that, was written in the 70s that probably can't be tolerated now, as you can imagine. But anyways, it's very unique. It was really cool. When I went and picked up Villainous #1 from Spitting Bullet Books and Comics, I saw this and I just had to buy it. Reread Giant Size X-Men. I'm not sure if I read that before or not. Some of it seemed familiar, some of it didn't. It still holds up really well. I talk about it more in depth on my Prime review, but if you're out there and you're a comic fan of maybe like different artists doing something different, go out and give this a try. Go buy it. It's really cool. And more than anything, maybe it's us doing our Tasty Treats Tales of Bad Candy, project that we're working on with Robert. I've been doing some comic pages and seeing. It's funny when you start to draw and do pages, how you start appreciating more people's artwork. You can say that with anything. If you start painting your own house, you see the workers down the street paint houses for a living, and you're going like, man, I couldn't do that all the time. Those guys are amazing. Same thing with this. Been drawing these pages, and to see in this Giant Size X-Men how many times like Dave Cockrum doesn't mind an 8-panel page, and he does it so easy and it's so crisp and professional. I guess at 46, I'm getting appreciation for the talent of a storyteller that Dave Cockrum was. So, anyways, that's all I got for you. Go check out Prime Reviews tomorrow. Please give me a like, make a comment, even if you're just my buddy, and go, "That's great." I would really appreciate that. So, I set you up, Dirk. What are you going to say? What are you going to say?
I will say in a second, but I want to get through these two because it was actually when Sean was talking. Mike says, "Awesome, Sean, a true collector's treat," and Walt says that he's a fan of Shout Factory.
Mm-hmm. And then also, since Scott brought it out, there's Philadelphia right there.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, but it's show and tell time, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, look at that.
Lots
That
of cool stuff.
Oh,
Great
that is
artwork.
good looking stuff, man.
So, anyway, yeah, I had it right beside me. I was like, oh, well, let's show it. Why not?
Yeah, show and tell, man. All right, I've got a little something since he mentioned Stoney. Here is a Twitter. This is a tweet from Stoney, who is at Bald Bearded Bard. And he says, of course, if it's International Podcast Day, then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention at Dirk Hooper Plus, which is my Twitter address, and Taskforce Geek. I have yet to find a more active and positive podcast and community that so enthusiastically supports indie creators, especially in Oklahoma. So that was
Stoney.
Awesome.
Yeah, nice.
That is awesome, Stoney. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And I wanted to put that up there. So if you want to follow him, that you can do that too. All right. My deal is I watched those 3 films with Sean, by the way. The first 3
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th movies. Good. Hello. Hi. My name is Dirk.
Hi, Dirk.
The first one was I wasn't going to talk about this, but the first one, the transfer on it, the 4K transfer was really impressive. And before I knew it was a 4K transfer, and Sean's got a great television. It's large and it is also in 4K. I mentioned to Sean, it's like, man, this transfer is amazing because you could see, I imagine that it looked better than it did in the theater, to be honest with you. It was really impressive. And out of those 3, I liked the first one better. The third one was so stupid. Oh my God. I mean, they really, they started getting silly and
be careful.
That was and that was in 3D, of course. So everything is like, oh my gosh, here it comes for you. Oh my God. Oh, here it comes again. Oh, it's like every film that came out in the 80s that was 3D had all of this activity that had to go right straight towards the camera. It was really irritating. Okay, so my thing that I wanted to talk about is Space 1999 that I'm watching on Amazon Prime. I remember watching this back when I was much younger, let's say 8 or 9 or something, and it was reruns even then. It was a little before my time. And what I think is interesting now is looking back at it. They had one of the storylines. I'm only about 6 episodes in. One of the storylines was a probe being sent out by Earth in 1986 that explored the galaxy. Okay, so it went out of the galaxy and then came back in time. It was supposed to go to Uranus, I believe, and then it came back to visit this, Moonbase Alpha, which is traveling away from Earth. And of course, Moonbase Alpha was in 1999. So, in the mid to early 70s, they figured that by 86 we would be doing, missions to Uranus and then on out into the galaxy. And then, by 1999, we'd have like this incredible base on the moon with all of these, different spaceships and stuff. It's just really funny to see you could say the same thing about 2001 or Escape from New York, which I think was 1994 or something. I mean, it's all just ridiculous. I think that the thing that you need to learn from that is don't ever say what year it is. If you just said that it was space, the future, then it would have been fine. But when you put a year on it, then it starts looking ridiculous when you pass that. And, don't be too optimistic, on this stuff. Blade Runner was 2019, I believe. So anyway, yeah, don't put a number on it. With that said, some of these episodes on Space 1999 are pretty good when they kind of take the subject matter serious and stuff. There's not enough punching people in the face for me. I kind of like the punching people in the face stuff or the blasters or whatever. So I would like to see more of that. But the spaceships are super cool.
You
Gary
want people
Anderson.
to punch blasters? Is that what I'm hearing?
I want some blasters
To
and
be
I
a
want
punch in
some
the face.
punching. I want punching
Punching.
and blasters. That's
I
what I
gotcha.
want in my show, which is why I like The Mandalorian. There's some punching and there's some blasters.
And a couple of A-Team episodes right there in the middle.
18 episodes.
Yeah. Got this old script. Let's just rewrite. We'll change everything. B.A. Baracus to The Mandalorian. That'll be good.
Walt says that he has to agree with Dirk on number 3. Yeah, number 3 was not great filmmaking, folks.
Be careful.
Where are my flying cars? He says, yeah, what we were promised flying cars by now. What happened to that?
Oh, they're there. We just gotta be really rich to get them. So
That's a good point.
yes.
Maybe we'll get some like flying drones things, like with 4 blades. It won't be quite like Blade Runner, but Mike says, as the resident old guy, I did get to see them when they first came out. They had cool stuff, and the toys were great. I had one of the toys back when I was a kid. I didn't even know really what it was, but it was like back when they made metal toys. It was die-cast metal,
Diecast. Nice.
and it had little doors that opened on the side. It was pretty cool. Walt says they promised us in the year 2000 we would have flying cars. They promised us so much. They failed.
They did.
Ken says the FAA will not approve them. All right. Does anyone have anything else they need to add here? If not, we're going on to our last segment. The sound of silence.
Part 3 was good.
It's promo time. For that, first we go to our guest. Who's our buddy Rob?
And what am I promoting?
You're promoting yourself.
Anything.
Yeah, myself. All right, cool.
Was that really a hard question?
Come on, man, dude.
Robert,
This
you want
is-
me to promote you?
This is the moment, dude. This is what
Gotcha.
you got to. This is your elevator pitch. Let's have it.
All right. So anyway, well, what I've been working on is just a thing called Bad Candy. It's a horror comic book, kind of in a love letter to the '80s cinema, which Friday the 13th was a part of. And I'm working with it with a friend of mine named Joe, and we're about to put out our 3rd issue of a 4-issue series. And it's like I said, a love letter to '80s cinema centered around Halloween. And also, we're expanding that out to Bad Candy Tasty Treats, or Tasty Treats Tales of Bad Candy, which is an anthology. And the Kickstarter will be going live here shortly, kind of waiting for some of the artwork to tighten up and finish up. And then that way we've got a firm date for release. And so keep an eye. We'll probably mention more about it here as well as in other things that we do. So keep an eye out for that. And we have a Facebook group and Instagram, Bad Candy Comic. Look for those, and feel free to join and send us messages or talk to us, and we'll be posting lots of artwork and other additional details here in the near future. So.
All right, Robert, stop right there.
All right,
All right.
he didn't go through them,
Yes.
so hang on. I'm going to go through them. So
All right.
he has a Facebook group called Bad Candy Comic. You can find that right there. These will all be linked in this episode. He also has another Facebook group for Robert Henry Art. That's that right there. So find both of those on Facebook. On Instagram, he has @Bad Candy Comic. And so if you're interested in that, you're going to be able to find some information there. And also, just like on Facebook, he has @Robert Henry Art on Instagram.
Robert, if somebody wants to get a hold of Bad Candy number 1 and 2, how do they get a hold of you? Or where do they go to buy it?
Well, contact us through the group, through the Bad Candy Comic page, and also we will soon have a thing up through the Rain King Studios thing where I'll be giving the information for that, so we can place
There
orders
you
through
go.
that. So
That's the business right there. That's what I'm talking about. Our homepage is Rain King Studios.
you go.
You're talking right now to the 4 members of Rain King Studios. So if you dig our art individually or together, check us out there. You can always get in touch with us. And you can also email us info@rankingstudios.com.
Yay!
Let me back out here and see. We got a lot of comments for some reason. I have no idea why we're still talking about Space 1999. Mike Kennedy says he had the eagle. It was like 3 feet long. Oh, he had the large eagle. I had the small one.
I had the big one.
Is that the
Okay,
like
I
pod, the ship with like the kind of pod units on it?
Yeah, and you could switch out the middle section. Like you could modify, whether it's going to be like a combat edition or it's going to be for cargo and stuff. Pretty cool toys. Not bad for the 70s. Walt says you can still get Space 1999 toys special order. I would actually like to have one of those Eagles. Again, I don't know what happened to my old one. It's gone. Ken says he used to work for them.
FAA.
The droid thing. Oh, the FAA, right. The droid thing was a big deal to get. I imagine. Yeah. I mean,
it's probably saying drones. The drones were a big deal.
Right. That makes sense.
The pesky droids.
Mike says he needs more space than he currently has.
We got all these droids running around. See, yeah, he meant drones.
All right. You got it. You got it. All right. Who's next on this thing? Who's gone so far? I've lost track. Let's go to Sean.
Nothing really to promote at the moment. Still working hard on commission pieces as well as doing a little bit of writing and working on some more stuff for the Tasty Treats comic coming up, as well as some other personal stuff. Continued working on a comic project for a good dear friend, and beyond that, really nothing more to talk about other than, by all means, please go to rankingstudios.com, check out the website, let us know what you think. You can get a hold of us at info at Ranking Studios. Please drop us a letter. Let us know what you think of it. You can also go to Facebook /Ranking Studios and get a hold of us there. Drop us a line, subscribe, follow, thumbs up, make us all happy, or you can curse us out. It doesn't matter. We just like the attention. Feel free to get a hold of us and let us know what you think.
All right. Scott, you're up.
All right. You can go to bothdown.com where we have the #1 Blood Bowl podcast, where you can hear me and my partner, Steve Campbell, talk about the game Blood Bowl, tabletop fantasy game Blood Bowl. Also, just these guys are kind of underselling since we kind of talked a little bit about it and hinted around more. Robert has a big project coming up. This
do we want to talk about that today?
Oh, I'm talking enough since I put a little bit on my Facebook.
I know you're breaking quarantine here.
That's all right. Sean's put in a lot of hard work. I mean, come on, guys. We're 70% or more of the work is complete, so we're getting close. So all I'm saying is there's more to come, either in this late last quarter of this year or early first quarter of 2021. So Robert's kind of shy about it, but Robert's had a couple of successful Kickstarters. So let's not kid ourselves. He has a couple of published books, 3 of them total of the Bad Candy series, Bad Candy 1, 2, and then just the Tasty Treats one shot. And then he has some great creators. Sean, Dirk, myself, and I'm not even one of the top creators here. Matt Price, Robert's doing the story. Joe Evans is doing a story. Scott Van Eck. There's a lot of people. We got pinups coming in from Marianne Childress, who watches the show. So it's a big group project that we should be proud of. And yeah, there's more to come. I just let the cat out of the bag. But you got to start promoting these things early. I'm always on these guys about, we got to keep them wanting more. So it's coming, and it's going to be great. And said Robert's already had successful Kickstarters, so I don't see why this one would not do the same. So
thank you, sir.
You want to say anything, Rob?
No, I mean, it's good. Like I said, we're kind of working towards getting this thing done, and I'm excited about the possibilities and where we're headed with it. And like I said, coming real soon, you're going to start to see a lot more stuff rolling out.
If you go to my Facebook page, you can see one of the pages I just posted today. Yeah, so if you want to taste of it, and Sean's cover, beautiful
Sean's
cover,
mock-up cover, yes. So
yeah, it's awesome, good stuff.
All right, I'm still doing commissions. You can check me out at Twitter, Dark Cooper Plus. That's where Stoney got in touch with me and stuff. I share a lot of information on there if you're on Twitter. And I've been really surprised with how active people in the comic community are on Twitter. They are very active, and they're pretty good. I mean, for me, just starting out doing, sharing comic stuff or sharing Taskforce Geek stuff or whatever. They've done a really good job of, kind of adopting me into that community and helping out, helping to share, commenting on stuff. You saw what Stoney did. So, and I definitely, come from a background where I will definitely share your stuff and help you get out the work and stuff. So please get in touch with me. If you're interested in comics or you're doing comics, then let's help each other out on that. Also, you can check me out on Facebook at Dirk Hooper Artworks. And again, I am taking commissions and stuff, although I'm kind of busy also, to be quite honest. If you need something quick, don't get in touch with me. All right. What else? We got a comment here. Let's get this. Ronnie says, great show, guys. Thank you very much, Ronnie. I appreciate that.
That's right.
Thank you.
We have the 4 members of Rain King Studios here. This is what we've planned on doing since the first episode. And we kind of had that for about 20 minutes. And now we've got it for the full show. And I think that's really awesome. And I said this earlier and stuff, but it's fun to have you guys all here together and doing stuff. You guys have always inspired me, both behind the art pad and out in real life too. So it's good and exciting to be working with you guys again.
Thank you. Same for me. So
I tolerate all of you.
all right.
That's pretty much the truth right there. Sean still loves us though.
Sean is the cat of the group. So.
Yeah, he. Every now and then he likes us to pet him, but most of the time he's striking out at us. I don't like you guys. Why do you keep hanging out on my lap, Sean? I don't know. I hate you. But he's always there. He wants some Scott Lovins.
Wow.
It's pretty accurate.
Wow. That is wonderful.
So.
That is wonderful. You guys talk amongst yourself while I figure out where the hell I am on this thing.
You've only had 28 episodes to get this right.
I know, but you have to realize there's a lot of extra stuff on here after 20 episods that I still haven't gotten rid of. It's been insane.
I'm just giving you a hard time, my man.
I know.
Yep.
Does anyone else have anything that they want to add before I wrap this thing up?
Yes. Next week on Taskforce Geek, we are going to have Joshua Bryan on the video show podcast, whatever you call this thing.
I don't know what you call it yet.
He is the, I guess, the main creator, or maybe he's the sole creator behind Crimson Woods board game, which is in the same vein as like a slasher movie, campground type thing, just like all the Jason movies and stuff like that. I have play tested this game on Tabletop Simulator with a group of guys, and it is finally coming into fruition as a Kickstarter. It launches next week on October 27th. That same day, he's coming on our show to talk with us, to chat, to promote, and let's do our best to promote and try to get him to get this thing. Let him live his dream, man. Go support him, get a cool board game in the process. And I know Josh through Supershow, and then I found out he's a big board gamer and stuff too. So we've been talking, and I even did a t-shirt design for him already. He commissioned me for a t-shirt design for Crimson Woods. If I didn't give Dirk the websites or anything, but we'll have him next week. But if you go to Google and you search Crimson Woods board game, you're going to see several entries, one over on boardgamegeek.com. You're also going to see his website itself, and there's also like he's already done interviews for another YouTube show on OMG Nexus. So he's already making the rounds promoting this board game, and we will have him as our guest for the full show next week.
Can you get a Kickstarter link before you launch, or is it not possible to do that?
You can.
Oh, he just put one up. Yeah. Just look in the comments. He put it up.
Yeah.
All right.
He put up some websites.
Get that to me. I'll be glad to put that in this thing. And also
look in the comments and put his comment up.
Oh. Here we go. How about that?
There you go, buddy. There's Josh. He's watching us tonight.
All right. Yeah. Let's see. We got Crimson Woods website. We got Crimson Woods pre-launch kick. He answered my question by showing me you do have a pre-launch Kickstarter page. That's cool.
And since Josh,
And,
that you're watching, we are 7 Central, so be ready.
Yes.
And we'll see you then.
We had a little issue. We had a little issue with that this time. Hey, thanks for giving us that information. I'll put that in this one, and I'll use that next time for the deal. And send me a bio, please.
All right, that's all I got.
All right. Anyone else? Am I bringing it home?
Bring it home.
Thanks to my buddies, all the Ranking Studios guys. It's good to have you here. I appreciate it. I think you guys did a great show. And thanks to everyone who is watching this. Thanks also to Steve Resk for the opportunity and for being on the show. It's always a pleasure to have him on. Please leave a like and share wherever you see this. It makes a huge difference. I'm not joking. We need your help. Please help us. For Sean, for Scott, and for Rob. Until next time, dream hard.